Welcome to Amazing Mind, the HMI Web TV talk show that introduces you to all sorts of interesting people and topics related to subconscious behavior. My name is Lisa Machenberg, hypnotherapist, HMI instructor, and host. Today we have an amazing guest who's going to talk to us about her research into past life regression therapy. Please help me welcome my very special guest today, Heather Rivera. Welcome to Amazing Mind.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me on the show. I appreciate it.
Oh, I'm so excited, and I will tell you why. You're doing research on past life regression therapy, and as everybody knows, I always say that research is my co-therapist. Now, I know that you are a registered nurse.
Yes.
You are also a PhD student at the American Institute of Holistic Theology.
Correct.
And you're doing your thesis on quantifying the positive effects of past life regression therapy. So the first thing I want to know is when we talk about studying theology, I think about studying the world's great religions. Is that what you're doing?
No, that's not what my schooling has been about. I attend a program for holistic theology, but it specializes in parapsychic science, and really what it is just all healing modalities. It's really a mind, body, spirit type approach to healing. So I've studied everything from color therapy to sound therapy to quantum physics and hypnotherapy, Reiki, and then of course some spirituality. I studied A Course in Miracles, I studied Buddhism and other spirituality, just adding to the toolbox of all types of healing modalities to encompass the whole body.
Sure. So here the thrust of your studies is not necessarily the theology, the intellectual theology, but the healing arts.
Correct.
And yet you're an RN. What's the matter? Is Western medicine not enough for you?
Yeah, actually, no, it's not enough for me, based on personal experience.
Tell us about that.
I have been working as an RN, and then I had a major surgery in '97, and 2 days later I became very ill and found out that I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, which is an autoimmune disease.
And just to catch everyone up, I knew we had a lot in common. I have Crohn's disease, which is also an autoimmune disease. And what that means is that's when the immune system attacks healthy tissue and healthy systems.
Correct.
So where did that lead you on your healing path?
Yeah, well, I was devastated, and honestly, I was petrified because as a nurse, I had seen many people with rheumatoid arthritis, and I saw how crippling it could be, and I was scared. I was young and very scared, so I had taken the traditional Western medicine, following my doctor's orders, but what happens in the interim between that 15 minutes at a doctor's office and then 3 months later when you see him again, what do?
Yes.
There's a lot missing.
Sure.
And so I actually took a couple of days and went down to San Diego, and I had to think about this. And I absolutely deconstructed my entire life. Yes. I looked at every aspect of my life, my diet, my exercise, my spirituality. I added meditation. I changed everything, and that's how it got me on the path to study holistic theology. I was trying to go and get as many healing modalities added to myself to become as healthy as possible.
When did you discover past life regression therapy for yourself?
It was actually, one of the courses was on hypnotherapy, but there was a very small section on past life, and it just intrigued me. So I decided to just hire a regression therapist and have a session and see what it was about.
What was it like for you? This is just personal experience, and we'll go back to I promise, we'll get back to the research, but first I want to start with your personal experience.
Okay. Interestingly enough, I had a recurrent problem with laryngitis, and I came to accept it as just part of me.
Sure.
And so I had no intention of doing anything about that or had any goals with this past life therapy. I was just curious. So this therapist took me under pretty easily using a progressive relaxation.
And what kind of metaphors, imagery did she use to get you from the progressive relaxation into the past life therapy experience?
Right. She had me go down the stairs, and then she took me into a library.
A library? Uh-huh.
I kind of like that because I'm a book person.
Sure.
It fit for me.
Uh-huh.
And she said, you go down a hallway, and this whole section of books, old books, will have your name on the binding. And she said, one will be calling to you. And so I felt that one was calling to me, and I pulled it out and had me sit down at a table and switch pages. And she said, you'll come to a page that just feels right. And on this page was a picture of a knight and a white horse, and the white horse was kneeling in front of the knight. Mm-hmm. And then instantly, without any provocation, I was instantly inside this knight's body. Wow. It was like a whoosh. Uh-huh. And it was just such a startling effect. I had not expected anything. I didn't expect anything to happen to me, and I was quite surprised that I was a knight. And instantly, I felt the fatigue and the weariness, and I had this sense of duty and honor, and this. I was going to fight, but I didn't really feel that the cause was just anymore. But yet, I had this honor to uphold, and I was going to fight. And I felt this intense love for my horse. So next thing you know, I'm on the battlefield, fighting on foot. And it was very damp, and I'm cold, and my armor's very heavy on my body. Mm-hmm. And suddenly I was stabbed in the throat. And I started choking on blood and dying and laying down in the grass. And in the therapist chair back is Heather. I'm coughing and gagging, and she says, watch it on a screen.
Sure.
You know, but I was so caught up in this night and his emotions and everything that was going on with him that I couldn't pull myself out of it. And then I experienced a death scene, and then I came out of the body.
Yes. And
coming out of the body was the most freeing, so freeing out of your body, and the most intense peace I had ever known. Mm-hmm. I felt so expansive. I felt a connectedness with the universe. I did not want to go back. But you could hear my therapist calling me back into the chair, and came back into my body, and she brought me out of the regression. And when I went to thank her, I noticed that my voice was clear and strong. I had gone in with no voice. And
so, Heather, are you telling me that she didn't give you any post-hypnotic suggestions for finding your voice or letting the past go, or any of some of the traditional things that some hypnotherapists use after a past life regression, especially one that has that kind of a brutal ending, and that spontaneously, from the experience, you had a remission of the laryngitis, and it has not occurred again?
That is true. She did not do any post-hypnotic suggestions. She didn't do anything except for I spontaneously, I think, re-experiencing that, maybe, I don't know if it's real, imagined, metaphor, it doesn't really matter to me. Integrating that into me, and then it healed it instantly.
Spontaneously.
And I've never had that recur.
Wow. From that, you decided to quantify this, to do research. And I want to be really, really clear here. You're not doing research to find out if the historical reality of past life regressions. What you're doing is looking at the therapeutic benefit of past life regressions. Tell me about your research. How can you quantify something like this?
You know, I've seen many. I've listened to stories. I've seen healings. And I have read a bunch of things, case studies. But they're anecdotal stories. But I've never seen anyone really try to quantify the healings. Mm-hmm. So I thought, well, that's what I want to do. I want to try to quantify it. And how you can do that basically is creating a survey tool.
A survey tool? Tell us about that.
I did some research on design of a survey, mm-hmm. and created a survey, and then had it launched on the internet on January 29th. It's a two-part survey. It's completely confidential. It has no personal information, so people feel safe to go ahead and talk about their experience. The first part is all about the background, the experience that they had. And then the second part is 25 statements, and they may rate those statements from 1, being strongly disagree, 4 being neutral, and 7 strongly agree. So they have a wide range to pick from.
So if I understand correctly, we're not looking at the validity of the experience. We're taking a look at the validity of the sense of change and well-being. from the experience. You know what? This is fascinating. The thing I want to do is take a look at your research, make sure everybody here can see it, take a look at some of the questions you're asking, and what you found out from this research on how people have transformed from past life regression therapy, not seeing a psychic, not any kind of tarot readings, but either a spontaneous past life regression, as people would get sometimes when they visit a new place, or through dreams, or just some people get them through massage. But anyone who's ever had a past life regression experience, either with a therapist or spontaneously, and how you can quantify that and what we all can learn from it. So we're going to take our short break, but when we come back, we're going to talk more with PhD candidate Heather Rivera about how she is quantifying the therapeutic benefit of past life regression therapy. Stay tuned. Now, I know that you are a registered nurse.
Yes.
You are also a PhD student at the American Institute of Holistic Theology.
Correct.
And you're doing your thesis on quantifying the positive effect.
I appreciate it.
Oh, I'm so excited, and I will tell you why. You're doing research on past life regression therapy, and as everybody knows, I always say that research is my co-therapist. Now, today we have an amazing guest who's going to talk to us about her research into past life regression therapy. Please help me welcome my very special guest today, Heather Rivera. Welcome to Amazing Mind. Welcome to Amazing Mind, the HMI Web TV talk show that introduces you to all sorts of interesting people and topics related to subconscious behavior. My name is Lisa Machenberg, hypnotherapist, HMI instructor, and host.